All right, thank you for staying with us. This is NTV Tonight, and like I promised, I will be now engaging with a conversation with a group of young Kenyans who have been on the streets demonstrating, protesting, pushing against the finance bill and asking the parliamentarians, the members of parliament, to reject the finance bill as is. And of course, we'll be seeking their views to really understand what the message is and really looking at the dynamics, the shift in terms of the dynamics. We've seen these protests majorly led by the Gen Zs and also millennials as well. Allow me to just give them an opportunity to, first of all, introduce themselves. And I'll begin with you on the right. Maybe just tell us your name and just briefly, what do you do?
My name is Nzolo Udama, but people know me as Lexus, L-E-X-A-S, Mshairi. So I'm basically a poet, a digital artist. I'm basically a multidisciplinary artist. All
right, thanks. Next.
Good evening. My name is Gashui Agnes Kariuki. I am a governance consultant, an advocate of the High Court, founder of Ustawi KE, a youth-led accountability community-based organization in Kiambu. Happy to be here.
All right, thank you. Next.
My name is Anita Barasa. I'm a newly found activist, a student, and I'm a co-founder of Wagwan Nairobi, which is a movement for all the youth to join. You can follow us so that we can keep you updated with everything that's going on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. My name is Oyamo Richard. I am a writer, I am a poet, and above all, especially for today, I'm an activist. And I'm a co-founder of a collective called Rafinki, which is a collective for artists. And part of what we do is to empower them to use their art for activism.
Thank you. Next.
My name is GK Nyambura. I am a lawyer and accountant, as well as a student at the advocacy training program in the Kenya School of Law.
All right. Thank you. You can also tell us.
Oh, hi, my name is Amy. I'm a content creator and a student and yeah, a newly found activist. And a part of Wagwan Nairobi as well.
Wagwan Nairobi.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for joining us. And also, just shortly, we'll also be joined by Jim India, who will be also giving us, you know, his brief introduction as well. But let me begin with you, Nzolo. I mean, when you're looking at the protests on Tuesday, when you're looking at the protests today, it's a departure from the normal, the anti-government protests that we've seen, very largely driven by the Gen Zs. And of course, young people came out in droves, thousands, and it didn't just happen in Nairobi, it happened across the country. So on Tuesday, we saw, you know, the young people come out just from Nairobi, but then today, I mean, that completely was an uprising. Just tell us what the message was, and did it achieve what it intended to?
I believe it is on its way to achieving that. And of course, I feel like we have grown up in a society where we were supposed to go to study well to get to probably a good high school, and then probably get from a good high school and get to a good campus. And then the idea is once you are done with campus, you're going to get a good job. And so we spend our lives chasing this dream, and leaders promise us, you know, heaven. They tell us these things are going to happen when you get there. And then we get there and wow, to a surprise, we're graduates, we are even shortlisted on CRP, we have no hope. Like guys are thinking even about like leaving the country. They want to go and find jobs outside the country because nothing is given,
right?
As we say,
it's not giving. It's not giving, right?
So.
Gashuhi, a departure from the norm, looking at the shift in terms of really, you know, there are comments that, you know, young people, Gen Zs, don't really have an interest in the governance space in the country. They don't watch news. They don't want to know what is happening in the political space. But this appeared to be different.
Exactly, and as I've said previously on this very platform, I had a struggle from around 2020 when we were trying to engage Gen Zs and other young people to be a bit more active in matters, politics and governance. It was crazy. I remember we were trying to encourage them to register with the IEBC, to be voters, actively trying to engage them to probably join political parties, actively trying to engage them to, you know, try and be involved in matters, public participation, which is a very key part of this conversation we're having today. And initially, they were apathetic to these issues, to these conversations, to this space. And the build-up has been coming very well. And the role of social media and the internet has been very critical over time in ensuring that young people, and especially Gen Zs, are a lot more engaged, which is wonderful. I love it. I'm very happy to see this so far.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. And Anita, your video went viral. You said, Agwambo, sit back. We got this. So, I mean, I think you're actually the youngest in this group. You're just 17. Where did this come from?
Okay, growing up, I've always had my dad as an inspiration because he was also an activist when he was younger. Personally, actually, I never thought I'd do this, to be honest. I just woke up and I was like, okay, I can't sit back and we're about to, you know, lose our future to people we elected, you know? So I had to stand up and like do something. Thank God it went viral. And Raila, His Excellency, Honorable Raila, he responded to me. And that gave me a lot of traffic, and like he gave me a platform to like voice my concerns, or rather our concerns as youth. And like, yeah, now we're here.
All right. Oyamo, this wasn't just about the finance bill. I mean, when you speak to the young people who came out in droves, and even what Nzolo is talking about, it's not just about the finance bill. There's so many aspects as to why young people decide to come out and speak to the information that is already out there and their involvement and inclusion in these conversations as well.
Yeah, sure. I'll answer that I'll begin by paraphrasing what Paul Vita says in his book, Fathers of a Nation. And he says that when we gain independence, they promised us to eradicate three things: ignorance, and diseases, and poverty. But now, probably 60-something years later, have they eradicated any of them? No. Instead, they have added one more: corruption. And that's what drives us more than even the finance bill. Our problem is we are not seeing what the resources we already have is doing to us. They are not using it correctly. They are misspending it. People are taking it into their pockets. And for a long time, we have been thinking our parents will solve that, but it turns out they can't. So I've decided to take the mantle.
Right.
Yeah.
And GK, your drive, where does it come from when you decided to? Were you there on Tuesday?
Yes.
So you went there on Tuesday, you woke up early in the morning, you were here, even today. Where did this come from, personally, from your angle?
My angle is that throughout my life, I've heard and I've been listening to the rest of the people around me, the older guys, our parents, my aunties, my uncles. Everyone has basically been complaining about the government since time immemorial. And I think I remember in the 2007 general election, a lot of murders happened. So many people died, and I think that instilled some fear. And so the past generations, so I'll start with like the baby boomers, their parents they went through colonialism directly. Like they were, what am I saying? They were actually, like they were directly affected by colonialism. And so their children, who are our parents, they grew fear. They were fearful of what would happen if they stood up to a government, so they just kept quiet. And then the next generation came up where the kind of like noise came from. They started murmuring about like, hey, that's a bit unfair. I don't like that. We don't want that. And then now by the time we were coming, it's basically neo-colonialism all over again, because it feels like we're being colonized again. So someone had to do something. So
you've listened and you've heard and you've witnessed all these conversations, and you felt, you know what, it's time we spoke.
Yeah.
All right.
It's time we did something. We've been speaking. Yeah.
So we must do something.
We must do something.
All right. And Amy, just very quickly as well, before we listen to what the government has said with regard to this whole thing, do you think the message is giving?
Yes, I think the message is giving, for it's created so much empowerment. Considering the numbers that were there on Tuesday to the numbers that have been there today, it's a message to everyone that we're not here to play. We want a good life for ourselves. So yeah, and our future kids and families and for our small siblings also. So yes, it's giving severely.
All right, and we'll continue with that conversation. But before that, Tourism Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua has reiterated that the youth who are demonstrating against the finance bill are being used by activists who are broke and looking for funding. Let's just listen to him.
So young people, if the police tell you enda hivi, enda hivi, enda hivi, enda hivi, do not be lured into violence. The activists using you, wacha niwaibie siri, the activists that are using you, wamesota. Let me tell you, Nikubaya, since Ruto took over, he is a darling of the international community. Our president is loved by the international community. He is the #1 Democrat, peacekeeper in the region. He is working for the economy, climate change, hiyo Kenya imeenda mbele. Ruto is loved so much. So these people, wakienda kuandika hizi statements, wanaandika proposals, walipo ati Kenya ni kubaya, wanaambiwa no. We have come to Kenya, IMF, World Bank, wamesema Kenya iko sawa, Kenya is doing very well. Why would we fund you and there's no problem in Kenya? Wamesota. You know, they are doing badly because that is their industry. So what they are trying to cause some fracas, trying to organize innocent youth by misleading you so that waonyeshane kuna violence kidogo, ndio wapate sympathy, ndio wapate pesa ya mfuko yao, ya bibi yao, si yako, yao na bibi yao, na girlfriend zao, na watoto wao, na watu wengine wao. That's what they are doing, these people. Wamekwama kabisa.
All right, so those are the views of the Tourism Cabinet Secretary Alfred Mutua, and I'm going to throw the ball to you guys to just respond to that, statement that was made. Jim, thanks also for joining us on this conversation. As you get, your opening remarks as well, I want to understand from your perspective, what do you think the message was sent on Tuesday, on Thursday, and also getting your thoughts on those statements?
Thanks, Zina. So I think for a while we have been very clear that Article 1 says that all power belongs to the people, but for a long time we never exercised that article.
All right, Jim, so what I'm going to do is we're going to fix that mic. Apologies for that, but we're going to come back to you. But let me start with GK. So you've heard what Dr. Alfred Mutua had to say, and, that this was sponsored by people who probably are looking for money. I don't know your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's a little insulting that you would think that we would never be smart enough to think this by ourselves. I personally I was not incited by anyone. I showed up on Tuesday. We were a lot less than we were today. And we were being chased, and it's okay, but we would come back and be like, this and that is what we want, and we need this to be done and corrected and fixed. Mm-hmm. So it's a little, I don't know, and it's distasteful to think that we can't think that for ourselves. We really did. This is my personal initiative. I'm fighting for a cause. To disrespect my cause and think that I'm being paid, I don't even know how I'm going home. Listen, I only have lip gloss and a mask. Like, what is that?
Zola, let me hear from you. Your thoughts on those statements. Largely, we've seen that these protests were organic. Really, we've not seen any political influence, but insinuating that perhaps they were sponsored by broke people.
Oh my goodness. We are struggling to even survive. So, missing a kazi. So I just wake up in the morning, I'm like, people are fighting for rights. Why should I be in the house? I have no job. So why should I not just get out of the house and go and fight for what I believe in? And these are things that affect me as a person. We are learned, yes, but there is no point to the education if there are no systems in place for us to thrive and grow to. So then we go to digital content creation, and then they want to tax that too. Will I sit back and my only source of livelihood is that, and then wait for them to pass the bill?
Right. Gashuhi?
If at all there is an inspiration to this or an incentive, it's probably birthright and sovereignty, which these young people, Gen Zs, have been able to determine, this is what is happening, this is where our country is headed. We can see to a certain extent, seemingly our country is going to be leased out to some foreign powers, and we're not going to agree to that. So ultimately, I do not believe, and I reject the statements by Alfred Mutua that these protests were in fact inspired or endorsed by some powers out there. No, they were not. These were sporadic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anita?
Personally, first of all, dear Cabinet Secretary, please, if you have intel and whoever is paying these people, we need the payment, okay? Like, please, like, personally, sijalipwa, I came out here because I'm bitter, very bitter, because our parents said nothing. Like, they were just, oh, this is quite unfair, as you said. But like, sisi hatutakaa chini. That's a lie. So we stood up, and now you're saying we're getting paid. We are the broke ones. We're the broke ones. Actually, we'd advise you to come out and sponsor us to actually fight for our rights. Because we are fighting for your children. See us as your kids. See me as your daughter. Like, would you want me to be out here saying so proudly at Iniko protest because I don't have a job? Now what am I supposed to do with, oh, I don't have a job? Like, we're supposed to be building each other here. I'm here fighting for the rights of Kenyans, not just me. And as you've heard, I'm the youngest here. Nafaa kwa nyumbani. But like, we're not getting paid. Yeah, that's all I'm trying to say.
All right. And I get back to you, Oyamo, Amy, as well as Jim. But we have to take a short break. Stay with us. We'll continue with this conversation. This is NTV Tonight.